added a creative video. I dressed up as a genie and I actually take them through the whole interview process. It's a quick 1-minute video. It's engaging. So they could see the whole process. They could see the one-way video interview to the in-person, to the workday trial with this giant check. They get to see the culture too. It shows like a team meeting in that video. So for the people that are kind of like, do I want to do this? Like that video's right there. It shows them the whole process. The skeptical people, we just close that door right there.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Home Service Hustle. I'm your host, Jonathan Bannister, and today I'm with Derek Cormier. And Derek is the owner and founder of Climate Experts out of Florida. Derek, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so, Derek, you and I have talked a little bit before we jumped on here. I was reading through your bio and stuff. So let's kind of start with, before you got an HVAC, you were in law enforcement, right? And so we kind of share that same background. So kind of tell me your story, like when you got into law enforcement, when you got out of it, and kind of what made that career path and change for you to get into HVAC.
For sure. So, I grew up kind of working for the family business in construction. My dad was a general contractor, and, coming to that point where I was 21, I kind of wanted to do something different and, get out into the world. Melbourne, Florida is kind of a smaller town. So I moved down to South Florida. I was a police officer in Hollywood, Florida, which is smack in between Fort Lauderdale and Miami. So it was kind of a rough city, but it was a very active law enforcement agency. We had 350 police officers there. So I started there at 21, and I was a police officer for 5 years there. And kind of near that 5-year point, being a police officer became a little bit different. Morale kind of went down near the end of it just because the benefits that, were a big reason of why people became a police officer. It's a dangerous job. So if the salary is there and you can get some pretty lucrative benefits like retirement, health insurance, it makes it worth it. And near that 5-year point, the city started gutting the benefits. The old timers were just kind of like, hey, let the city burn. And here I am, 24, 25, like wanting to protect people, wanting to help, wanting to get out there. And the culture of the law enforcement department I was at just wasn't great at that point. And I said to myself, I used to sit on the beach in my cop car, and they had me on the beach with the old timers because I wanted to work, and the old timer wanted me to work the beach. So I would handle all the calls, and I'd sit there waiting for calls on the beach, and I'd be looking at these, multi-million-dollar houses, and these people that must have worked really hard to generate something so great for their family. And here I am sitting there like, man, am I making the most out of the opportunities that are available to me, or am I just settling? And I decided at that point that it was time to make a change. And the first thing I did was I enrolled back into college. I had my associate's degree. I went back to UCF in Orlando, and I took a leave of absence from the police department because I didn't want to completely shut the door. I just respectfully took a leave of absence, and I enrolled into the civil engineering program for my bachelor's degree in civil engineering. And while I was in school in Orlando, I'm always working. Here I am 24, 25 years old in college with, 18, 19-year-olds, which is pretty funny. I actually rented a house with my younger brother who was 18 years old at that time. So I was like, the older brother in college. It was kind of an interesting scenario. But I worked air conditioning on the side when I wasn't in school. And I started out as a technician. They sent me to Arkansas to do some training as a technician. And then they sent me to do some sales training. It was Airtime 500 company back then. I think it's Certain Path now. And, within the first year, I was like their number 2 salesperson. And when I saw the opportunity in the business, I was like, wow, like maybe I want to shift from this engineering position that I was thinking I wanted to, go into. And then around that time, I met my wife too, who was a nurse. And, I said to myself, okay, I can't stay in school. I got to get out there and I got to make something out of myself. So I decided to take the leap into, the HVAC industry from there.
So you were working for someone just kind of on the side where you're going to college, and then you decided to go be with them full time?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so kind of what was that journey like as far as you were, obviously doing well in sales, but were you full-time comfort consultant, or was there a selling tech model? What were you doing?
Yeah. So I was a selling tech. They did not have any comfort consultants. They only had selling techs at
Okay.
that company. So I was able to, turn over to myself and offer system replacement. They were a HVAC only business. So, so I primarily went out for, maintenance calls. Almost all my calls were maintenance. So it was kind of they didn't have maintenance and service separated like some larger businesses. So you were the maintenance tech, the, diagnostic tech, selling tech, all in one.
And what about in your business today? What model do you have?
So in the business that I have today, Climate Experts, we have maintenance techs, service techs, and we have project managers. Our project managers are kind of like the comfort advisor model. Other than my project managers have a little bit more experience, I'd say. They can design their own duct systems in-house. They do their own heat load calculations on site. They could diagnose a piece of equipment if they needed to. So it's not just a sales guy we took from the car dealership and threw him in a truck and said, hey, go sell stuff. Like, they know what they're doing. Typically, when they build a quote and they design a quote, they're finding things that other businesses aren't finding. So people are throwing those quotes in the trash. They're finding undersized, returns that, are only letting in a little bit of the CFMs. They're finding duct systems that aren't sealed. They're finding lower installations. They're finding that the system's sized wrong for the heat load. So I think that's what differentiates our project managers than some comfort advisors, which is why I created that name versus calling them a comfort advisor.
Okay. Are y'all do they go in home, or are y'all doing like call by call management, or?
So they are in home.
Okay.
Currently they're not going out there until it's turned over. There's occasion where someone needs some coaching and training and they might go out and ride with them on an opportunity maintenance call. But typically we're sending our opportunities to our best turnover techs. We use Dispatch Pro with Service Titan. So we're sending our best turnover opportunities to our best turnover technicians. They're turning it over to the project manager. Project manager goes on site. We don't do the full call by call model where project manager is doing call by call with techs. We have a service manager that does call by call with our service team.
Okay.
That's what they do.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the name and the brand and everything. It's obviously something you're super proud of. So when I know you said it was a family-owned business in 2016 and then kind of did a restart 2019. So was the name always Climate Experts back then? Did you come up with a new name, obviously new branding?
Yeah, so started out just Climate Experts Air and Heat. We did HVAC only at that point. I ended up getting my license back in 2016 and started a little family business, just a couple people, 3-4 employees. We ran it pretty small until 2019. We parted ways. We wanted different things. And then come 2019, I really redid all the branding. I, obviously full colored wrap trucks. We had the mascot that really stood out. And I really modeled it off of Dan Antonelli, off of how he did his branding. I couldn't really afford it back then. I did call him back when we started.
Right.
I wanted to go with their company, but I couldn't afford it. So I did all my own branding. I, created it all custom. I used some Fiverr. So I made sure it wasn't stuff people used. And, I really bootstrapped the branding myself. And we rebranded back in 2019 with the colors, but we fully rebranded again in 2023 because I got my plumbing license in 2023 and electrical license. So changed the name from Climate Experts Air and Heat to Climate Experts Air, Plumbing, and Electric. And then we kind of had to change a little bit of the wraps because now we've got these different services. So instead of the typical red and blue, which almost every business in AC has, hot and cold, we're like, okay, we need to reestablish this. So we added the bright yellow, we added the teal. So the yellow had to do with the electric, the teal with the plumbing, and then the blue, the AC. We wanted to keep some of the brand because we had really strong branding. People knew our trucks, but we wanted to differentiate it. And we got really good response from our customer base. They loved it. They're like, wow, it's even brighter. And now we don't have that typical red and blue that a lot of companies have.
Yeah, I love it. It sticks out. And it's, I know Dan's biggest pet peeve is the whole red and blue on people's stuff. White, a lot of white, and then red and blue he doesn't like either. So, all right. So what about, what do you think has been the biggest learning experience for you on, you started out as an HVAC guy, and then you said you got your plumbing license. Now you're doing electrical. What's been some of those hurdles or challenges adding those additional verticals to it? Because I think everyone out there, wants to figure out how do I get to my next 2 or 3 million, and they want to add those extra verticals. So go ahead and help some people out of what they need to learn before they make some of those mistakes.
Yeah. So I set my expectations, realistically. I told myself my first year in plumbing, we would do $1 million. I didn't want to go fully into it without really having that structure down, because I'm an HVAC guy at heart. Yes, I have the experience on plumbing side. I grew up in the contracting business. I could put a roof on a house. I could frame a house. I could tile a house. I've got the experience, but do I have 30 years experience? No. So, if I go too full throttle on the plumbing side and I don't have a good structure, and I have, and I take some of my staff and I put it into something that's not really fine tuned. My first year, I told myself, I'm going to just kind of test this out and fine tune it and see what works. And, I don't want to put too much money into something that is going to take away from my HVAC side, because it's doing well. So I'd say, what we did right was the first year we hired someone on that used to own their own plumbing business, and they knew exactly what they were doing. They've been doing it for 25 years. They're a master plumber. And I mean, he literally fit our model almost exactly. And he goes out there and he kills it. So he helped us build that model of how to handle repipes. And it's taken off from there. So, we're exceeding all of our revenue budgets on the plumbing side because we set realistic budgets. We weren't like, all right, we need to make 3 million. Let's just throw it into plumbing. And then we're winging it along the way. And plumbing is a very, there's a lot of liability there. You can flood homes. There's a lot of things you can do in plumbing wrong that will set you back big time, lawsuits and things like that. So, I mean, being a police officer, you as well, I mean, I'm big on liability. I write contracts, so I'm very careful. A lawsuit could take a business down very easily. So there's a lot of hype men out there that will talk about revenue, but what profit are you at? How many lawsuits do you have? How hard is it to run that business at that profitability number? So I'm about owning a business to where it's around my lifestyle. I can still go to my kids' games, and I can, see them every night at 5, and I can be present when I'm home, and I can eat dinner every night. Like hustling, 90 hours to 150 hours while I'm not home with my family or present. And then in the weekend, I'm working too. And then through those age groups where my kids right now, I have 2 daughters, they're 5 and 8. And I miss that whole 1 to 10-year-old point where it's probably the most important that their father's present. As I'm on social media showing my Ferraris and money. Like, to me, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. I respect that if that's what you're looking for. But for me personally, it's about my family. It's about leadership. It's about my employees. It's about that they have a solid life with their family as well. So I don't want to drive my employees towards a path that I don't have a solid plan that I haven't tested. So I tested the HVAC model working in the industry for a little while before I started my business. In plumbing, I didn't. So I found someone that had done that, and we tested it, and it's worked out really well. And we've added on water treatment into that as well, and that's done really well. And it's funny, things that I did sales and water treatment, years ago, and now it's just connecting into the business perfectly, and it's working out really good. So I would say for any business owner out there that wants to add another trade, I would say start it slow. Make sure that your original trade is developed enough that it can stand on its own feet. Because as you start taking away support from that trade, and if it's not set up, at a really solid place, the business is going to become a lot of work.
Yeah, and I think most of our clients that I talk to, they're adding it. Like they're trying to go find that expert that has that 20 years experience that can help them build the model, be the director, own that department, because obviously they don't have the skill set and the experience themselves. So don't be cheap. That's kind of what I've taken from my clients is like, hey, we're paying this dude a shit ton of money, right? And like, he's worth it. He's got, he can go out there and make the money as well, but like, I've got to get the calls and leads in, like at least fill this guy's schedule, because he can bring in the revenue while we're building this model out, and hopefully we'll have 2, 3, 5 plumbers down the road. So, okay. So now let's talk about you mentioned in your information that we collected from you about your recruiting system. Right. And I know that recruiting is a major pain point, especially for the home service industry. I think the school system plays a huge part in this, and they've taken away all of, the different things like shop and, these
programs that would open kids' minds up to wanting to go into the trades, and they've made everything college, college, college. And I think that's backfiring rapidly now with AI. And I don't think college will even be much around at all here within the next 10 years. So, and that's what they get, right? They just kept increasing the pricing and making it so unaffordable. And now it's going to be pretty much useless. I mean, I've been telling people for years, like, you can go get a Harvard degree on YouTube if you want to apply yourself. Like, the knowledge is there. The information is there. People give it away. You just got to go and consume it. And I still think it's just crazy that they're still stuck on the got to go get a degree, got to get a degree. And it's like, I got a guy that I had lunch with. I haven't had him on the podcast yet, but I had lunch with him a couple weeks ago. He's here in the Dallas market. I saw him on a podcast with Certain Path. And this dude has done 2 or 3 years in a row. He's only like, how old is he? He's like 32 or something. He's a selling tech that's done $7 million in the last 3 years, consistently $7 million each year. He whips out his W-2 statement while we're at the table. He goes, I don't just talk about it. Like, he's made like over 600 grand year to date so far as a selling tech. Right. And so I'm sitting there going, like, people don't realize the opportunities that exist out there. Right. So what are y'all doing for recruiting? How are you keeping your pipeline full? I mean, obviously I think the culture and the brand, a big part of that, but you've got a system. So what are you doing?
Yeah. So our system works really well. I don't think we've said that we're struggling with recruiting in the last 2 or 3 years. That hasn't been our language that we've used, just because we get so many applicants. We get between 200 to 500 applications a week. We typically have about 8 roles open at a time. And we're not all over on, 100 job boards. A lot of that comes from personal referrals, and a lot of that comes from Indeed. So some of that from Facebook too. We're all over social media. So, and we don't, have them apply on social media. We'll send them over to our website or Indeed, but we just write a really good job ad. It's like marketing. I mean, you're obviously a marketer, so you got to market for, who you want. So who's your ideal customer base is what you go for customers. Who's your ideal employee? What kind of job ad would they want to read to where they'd want to apply? You have to convince them and sell them on applying. So we write the job ad in a way to where it's inviting. It's like, wow, they do all that for their employees. And we know all the pain points of what they don't like. They're sick of working at places that don't train them. They're sick of working at places where there's no opportunity for growth. They're stuck in the hourly wage model. They're sick of working at places that they're stuck on call. We don't have an on-call system for our technicians. They want work-life balance. They want commission opportunities. They want growth opportunities. They want leadership training. There's not a lot of businesses in our industry that do actual leadership training for their employees to help them move up, the rungs. So we knew that's what people were looking for. So we had to write a really good ad that spoke to that made them feel a certain way emotionally. So they're like, I need to apply here now. So we get a lot of people apply. So it's the pipeline, right? We get a lot of people into the pipeline. And then what we do really well is we build automation into the system to where, we're not having to answer, 500 applications and talk to those people. As soon as they apply, they get an automated text message to immediately go through our one-way interview process with applicants. So nowadays, people want to be in the comfort of their home. They want to click on the one-click Amazon buy and the package at their door tomorrow. They don't want to schedule an interview in 5 days and come to your shop and go through all this stuff. So we literally get them to interview right when they apply. They get the link, and it's an actual manager speaking to them on video. They get to see a manager speaking to them, asking them the questions. So it's it makes it more personal. So it's not just some question they're reading and they're like, I got to videotape myself and answer this question, and you guys didn't videotape yourself. So I think it's important that the physical person is on the other side that can bring some personality to it. And then it explains to them the process. It shows them how easy it is. They could do the interview at any place, at any time, after work, in the car, at night. And they do the interview right away. And then we rate those people on our system, our hiring system. And then typically the next step is that we invite them for an in-person interview. So the amount of people that show up to that interview is typically 70%. When we did not do the one-way video interview, we probably had a show up rate of 25% or less. So we get 75% of those people that we schedule that in-person interview for. Because if you're willing to do this one-way interview on your phone, you took the time to answer those 10 questions and send it, you probably are invested in the process a little bit. And another key that we do is we're fast. So you get that link immediately when you apply. As soon as they fill it out, we have an automated message on the next step, and they can actually schedule their own interview if they make it through the next step of that process. So it's like within a day, because people are looking for a job. They need a job now. They need money in their account. They have bills. If you are, more than a couple days getting back to them, they're gone. They got hired by somebody else. So we're really quick, and they do the in-person interview. We have it with the manager. And even after that interview with the manager, let's say they do well, we require that every single employee or applicant does a workday trial. It's usually a full or a half day. They come in for the day, they sit with that department. We give them something to do just to kind of evaluate them. We find out if they're a culture fit. So the cool thing is our employees know we vet our people. We're not hiring anybody that's got, an EPA certification. They need more than that. They need to fit the culture. So it's almost like becoming a police officer. It's a rigorous process. You got to get a background check, fingerprinted, lie detector test. You got to do a physical fitness test to pass that. And then you got to go through an academy. So, our people know if they made it through our system, this person's probably pretty good. This isn't someone right off the street. So it makes people like an exclusive feeling, like, oh, we want to get in because this is a process. This is exclusive. Right. And it keeps people engaged. And then after the workday trial, we pay them for that trial, by the way. It's $10.99. They get paid for the day just to check it out. After that, if they're good, we'll give them the offer and we'll get them set up on a training plan. And that's, I think, what's really helped it really work. And we don't need to go on all the other job boards. I mean, we get enough on Indeed to where we're inundated with applications. So our system just works for us. We really don't even spend that much on ads for that.
I think what I'm taking from what you're saying is you've created an experience, and that experience makes that applicant know that they're experiencing something they've never done before. And this is a company that they're, at the very least, they're intrigued by, because they've probably gone through multiple other interviews and submitting applications, and they're like, this is different. And so if it feels different, they want to see kind of what's behind the door. And then that's probably why they end up loving what they see, especially once they do get behind there and get to see the culture of the team. So walk me through that first part again. You said the 10 questions. Are you using software, or you're saying is it video, like a video ask type situation?
Yeah. So it's a software. So
like it's you saying, hey, thank you for coming. I've got a couple questions I'm going to ask you. I'm going to jump right in. Here's the first question. And then they see you or someone from your company ask that question, and then they hit the play button back and respond, right?
Correct. So yeah, it's an actual software designed for the one-way video interviewing. So they get an automated text message as soon as they apply. It's a link. That link takes them into that page for that specific job. And those questions are specific for that job with that manager for that job. So in the beginning, it's got a video that just maybe shows me if it's, directly under me, and it says, hey, I'm Derek with Climate Experts. Thank you for entering our one-way video process. This process is going to be great. You can do it from any place, anytime. It's going to speed up the recruiting process so you can most likely get hired a lot faster. And let's go ahead and get started. And then I sold them on it. And then they see me on the next video question where I might say, tell me why you applied to work at Climate Experts. What intrigued you about the job ad? Yeah. And, we get more people to engage in that process. And the people that don't engage in that process really probably aren't that committed. Those are the people that are just there for the money. And we're going to have to sell that person to work at Climate Experts for a long time. Anytime that there's $1 more an hour somewhere else, they're looking. So these are the people that get engaged by not only the job ad, but our culture, and they're willing to do our process. Because if they're not, then it weeds them out of the process, and they're probably not going to be a good long-term fit.
100%. I've been trying to get as many of my clients to adapt this process, because this is what we use to hire within our agency or any of our companies. We use Video Ask for the software, but we set up the same questions depending on department, depending on what the role is. Those are the questions they're going to ask. Some are going to be your basic core questions, what made you apply? What got you excited, or what is it that you have found that you like, that you read something about our company? But yeah, I mean, just to be able to see their body language, their tone, like you can learn a lot by watching those videos, because if they truly have done their research and they've looked in, and they're not, because what it does is it separates the people that are maybe on unemployment with the state or something, and they're just submitting an application because it's part of their requirements to get their check in or whatever. And so what you find is my clients historically, if you hear them complain, like, yeah, we had 40 people apply to this. You know how many showed up? 2, and 2 of them like both wearing flip-flops or something. I'm like, yeah, but you're doing it wrong. Like, you could weed out all of that if you could just have a video experience with them and let them do it wherever they want. And you'll get to see what their experience is, what their background, what they look like, because the way they present themselves in that video, like, I'm okay. Like, I remember one, you say, hey, you can do it from your car or wherever you want. There was a girl that applied recently for an account manager role with us, and she worked for this big, like, Fortune 500 company, and it was out in California. And she goes, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm on break. Right. And so she was doing it from the inside of her Tesla. I could see the whole car and everything, but like, that's okay, because I want to see the effort that they're going to put in. Like, that tells me a lot. And then you don't have to worry about getting frustrated they're coming in their flip-flops, because guess what? If you would have seen them on video first, you'd have known that person's probably going to come in flip-flops, and they're going to be sloppy when they come into the in-person one.
You're 100% correct, because we need to make it really easy for people to get into the pipeline, just like marketing, right? We need to make it really easy for people to book. Then we can decide, is that the right customer for us? And we're going to run that call. It's the same with recruiting. Get as many people into the pipeline. Now we can assess, because if you can't even get people into the pipeline, or you're making it super hard for them to apply, it's like, you need 100 years of experience. You need 16 degrees. It's like, or must be able to lift 600 pounds. It's like, there's no wonder people aren't really applying to the position.
Well, and and I guess when you think about it, like, it just makes sense, because if you're putting everything solely based on someone's applying, all right, so they apply, they saw that you're hiring, they see how much your hourly rates are, what the position is. Oh, I qualify for that. And then they're going to submit, but they're also going to just keep submitting at a bunch of places. But now you get to, like, completely separate yourself, because now if they get an email immediately that says, hey, we would love to start this process now, click the link and let's get started. And now they're watching. Now, instead of having to wait for a call back or to schedule a face-to-face, because they also may get 30 other phone calls because they've applied to other businesses as well. Now they get the opportunity to see what you, the owner, the manager, whatever it looks like, how you present yourself, right? You can do a lot of creative shit in those videos. Like, videos tell a big story. That's why we're all about video marketing, in our agency, because video helps with everything. It helps with branding. It helps with conversions. Like, it just helps separate you from your competitors, because you can only tell so much what a flat image that says, we pay $30 an hour and all this extra time off. Well, everybody's doing that. But I think they want to kind of, like, weed through the bullshit, and they really want to be able to see, like, is this company different? And they get that opportunity to hear by the way you present yourself and the questions that are being asked, and you get to see how they respond to it. And now you get the alert that someone submitted. You get to watch those answers. You know what? Let's get this person on the phone. They'd be a great fit. And now you may just have, like, cut in front of 30 other companies that are going to be reaching out to this person for interviews, because you jumped in there and did something faster.
100%. I mean, we even added a creative video that's a minute long that we sent to them with that link to do the hire flicks.
Yeah.
I'm a hiring genie. I dressed up as a genie, and I actually take them through the whole interview process. It's a quick 1-minute video. It's engaging. So they can see the whole process. They can see the one-way video interview to the in-person, to the Workday trial with this giant check that we get. And they get to see the culture too. It shows like a team meeting in that video. So for the people that are kind of like, do I want to do this? Like, that video's right there. It shows them the whole process. The skeptical people, we just close that door right there.
I love it, man. That's great. I'm telling you, everybody out there, this is the part of this interview that you need to pay attention to. You need to get this implemented into your process. All right. So we talked, you mentioned marketing. We were talking about pipeline. And so what do you guys do for marketing? And, like, what has it been 2019? What does marketing look like 2024 for climate experts?
So We have always believed in kind of like the bootstrap marketing of, networking, referrals. Taking care of your customer base is extremely important. So 60% of our revenue is from our existing customer base because they already know they want to do business with us. And that's why we added actually on plumbing, because we didn't have a plumber to refer to, and these people and our customers needed a plumber, and we tried. We were like out there. And so I had to get that license and start that because our customers needed it. So existing customer base, that didn't cost us any money.
That's right.
And
so how many club memberships do y'all have?
So we have 1,000 right now. We could definitely be doing better with club memberships. We have 1,000. We call them MVP members, maintenance value plans, and we should be at about 2,000 for how many technicians we have. That's something that we need to do better at with training for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as marketing in 2019 versus now we've obviously done some pretty good branding, so we can get customers for way less because people know who we are. And we do a lot more on social media now than we did before. We almost did no social media. We did the organic posting, but now we do some paid ads. We do a lot of branding paid ads on TikTok, on Instagram, Facebook, some YouTube shorts. And it's funny, like we might not get lead gen from it, but everybody that we go to tells us about our videos. And people don't realize, like, it's really hard to track ROI on a branding campaign or like a billboard. And, that's the point where it's going to be really hard to compete with those big companies that can, invest in branding like radio, billboard, social media. So at this point, we're actually in the game to where we can get our branding out there. So we're paying less dollars for those leads off of PPC. We're not one of those companies that just throws our whole budget into Google PPC. Probably about 20% of our budget is Google PPC, where a lot of people it's 50%.
Yeah.
So 20% or less. We're 6% marketing spend. We started at 4%. So we've doubled our revenue every year with less than a 6% marketing spend on our total budget. I don't believe in like giant marketing spends and just throwing money at the wall, because capacity is big. If you start getting too many leads in and you can't handle those leads, or your CSRs and call centers just burning stuff, I focus on the fundamentals, make sure the fundamentals is right, and then spend money on marketing and make sure you're getting the right customers in the pipeline. Because I'd rather run 3 calls that are better opportunities than 7 that really aren't the right customer or aren't looking for our services. So I focus on quality of leads. That's a big focus for me.
So yeah, I mean, listen, everyone out there, like, listen to what Derek's saying. Like, this is one of the smartest answers that I've ever heard. You are focusing on branding with, a lower budget, and you're doing it very intelligently. Like, here's what my belief is, and I'm trying to like preach this to our clients now, is that the company that has the most impressions from their target audience, zip code, service area, whatever, each month consistently is going to be the winner, right? And it doesn't matter if those impressions come from video or TV, radio. Obviously, I believe in being omnipresent, but at the end of the day, like, there's that whole M&M effect where if it's, it doesn't always even have to be, it can be something funny that y'all are doing. It can be something emotional that you put out there. But if you can make some kind of physical, emotional connection with people, like, it is going to equal ROI. It's not going to be the heroin, the Google heroin that everybody wants, right? They're like, no, like, I need to see if I put 100 in, I need 500 back, right? And I need leads. And I'm like, man, you need to focus on your brand. Like, you need to be the company that when people that don't know you and have never used you, that their brains think of you when their problem does happen. And a problem will happen to their home. In y'all's case, y'all do plumbing, electrical, AC, like, problems are going to happen. And so I've got a client out in California, All Heart Heating and Cooling, and they, in the last couple of years, they've went with Wizard of Ads. They've invested heavily in their brand. They do a tremendous amount of radio. And we were out there a couple months ago and we were shooting video content. We were about 2 hours away from his office. He's got 4 locations. And we went to this old train depot, and we pulled up, and there was these 2 old men in these rocking chairs at the train depot. And when we got out the truck,
the owner, we're both walking to the back truck, and this old man starts singing, "All heart heating and cooling, comfort is only a heartbeat away." And he looked at me, he said, "See, this shit works." And it's like, that's the truth. Like, that old man's not a customer. I'd be willing to bet anything he wasn't a customer. But when that old man's house floods or his AC doesn't work, his brain is going to think of All Heart, because there's been some kind of connection that he's resonated with that's made a positive impact, and he's going to call that company. So yeah, I love that you guys are investing in the short form content, into videos and stuff that you're putting out there, and you're just, putting a little money at the top of the funnel of branding, right? And no, you can't go, same thing with billboards, right? You can't put a telephone number on a billboard and expect that you're going to be able to instantly get the return on investment. It doesn't work that way. What you hope is that your direct search of your company name on the search engines continuously goes up, because you want people looking for climate experts specifically, and not putting in AC repair or plumbing contractor near me. What have y'all been doing with some of the video content? Like, I know you've mentioned some things that you're doing that makes people laugh and things like that. So what has the video kind of history been for y'all?
Yeah, so it's a multifactorial plan. So we do engaging short videos. We also do some educational videos as well, because I feel like in this generation, there's a lot more research being done, and eventually ChatGPT is going to do the research for you. So the more content you have online that ChatGPT is going to find, you never know. I was listening to Gary Vee talk about how, eventually ChatGPT is going to take over Google. In a way to where people are just going to ask ChatGPT, hey, which company should I choose? And it's going to do its research for you. So if you're just focusing on Google PPC, there's a good chance that you might be missing out if you haven't really made content and you haven't prepared for this. So I took his advice and I started making a video a day. And I think a lot of people overthink the videos that they're making. I think you need to understand who your customer base is, and you need to understand the goal of what you're trying to get from that video. I think some people judge videos and they don't understand what the company's goal is. Like, you might watch like a funny TikTok video of someone dancing, and you're like, oh, well, your customer base isn't going to like it. It's not professional. Well, that wasn't for my customer base. That was for an employee. I was trying to attract employees into my business to see how fun the culture is.
That's right.
So if you don't understand their goals of those videos, then you can't really critique that, because you don't know what they're trying to get out of that. So, and again, we have to have a goal for the video that we're doing, and we have different goals. We have recruiting goals for videos. There's goals for engagement for our social media platforms to get more followers. There's goals for people just to follow us for educational tips, so that if they're, looking for information, that they find us. We're even now trying to rank for the YouTube Shorts, because it's easier to compete there, because a lot of HVAC companies aren't producing content on YouTube Shorts for keywords. You can produce, those AC repair near me soon on Google, the search engine. They're showing videos on there. So if you can rank for videos, and there's not a lot of people making videos, YouTube Shorts on whatever those keywords are, like, what's the best AC company near me? What brand should I choose on HVAC brands? So you can make those videos and put them on YouTube Shorts, and you might rank organically and not have to spend any money on that. And then as we move on and PPC starts getting so competitive or stops working, you'll start bringing leads in slowly. So I believe in long-term marketing solutions with video. Like, I don't expect to throw a video out there and we're going to get 50 leads. Like, it's not for lead gen. Like, it's the long-term strategies. I believe content's king. And then how many eyeballs see that content, and is it engaging, and is it memorable, and are they remembering what you want them to remember? And that's just that we have goals for everything. So that's how we handle it.
I love it. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, and I want everyone to understand what Derek was saying about the organic side. Like, everyone that's not within Derek's service area, if you're in Derek's service area, turn your ears off for this part here. But what he's saying is that right now, if you were to pull up Google, wherever you're located, and put an AC repair near me, you're going to see videos pop up at the top of the screen. You don't even have to hit the video button. You're just going to be on the main all search, and there's going to be videos. We've actually started seeing TikTok videos getting pulled from there, right? And so I was like, well, is Google buying TikTok? And it's Google knows that TikTok is such an important platform right now that has so many users. They're pulling that content over, right?
I mean, because they already have it on YouTube Shorts or all TikTok videos. So they're like, well, why can't we just put it on a Google search page? So what he's saying, though, is if you can shoot the short form content on YouTube, on TikTok, and it's being pulled over on a Google search. So where for AC repair near me, you may not rank on page 1, like organically in Google Maps, but your video could, right? And so if these bigger competitors of yours that are only focused on SEO and Google Maps and PPC, boom, I will tell you those 3 or 4 videos that pop up take a big focus of your attention whenever you're on a search page, because like everybody knows what the whole thumbnail and the play button looks like. So when you see those videos, your eyes just go to it. And so if you've got the right title and caption and things on that, that video image right there, well, you have a great opportunity of being able to steal clicks and impressions and things that your competitors are ranking organically down below you, and you're still struggling there. And maybe you haven't ranked yet. So the other thing I would say is on YouTube, right? Like we use YouTube for lead generation. We have found it to be, you know, way better performing than PPC for a couple reasons. One, I think video being told the right way tells a big story. So if you've got a 1.5 minute, 2 minute, what we call like almost like a sales video, you've got the opportunity to show the culture, you know, what some of your customers are saying about you, what the offer is. Well, you don't get charged on YouTube unless somebody hits see more, you know, 30 seconds. They have to watch more than 30 seconds for you to be charged. And it's so underutilized. And again, I think it's because everybody's on that Google heroin and they just need leads. And they don't realize that like YouTube's the second largest search engine out there. People are using search engine. And I think that statistic is going to change here soon. It probably already has, but you know, obviously Google wants to own the number 1 and number 2 spot. I know that people probably under the age of 28, and I bet it's a little higher, but it's 34 and under, TikTok is their go-to right now to decide if they want to do business with a company that they're looking into. So they're actually using TikTok. And like Derek was saying, here before long, because I saw that same video by Gary Vee that he says within the next 10 years, Google won't exist. The search engine won't exist. Google will be around. Yep. Search engines just won't be used. Right. And so, yeah, before long, people will be using ChatGPT to tell them and direct them on what they need to do and how they need to use it. But right now, the stats show that younger generations are using TikTok to see, they don't care about the reviews because they know those reviews can be manipulated and they don't know how old those reviews are. So the Google reviews don't mean as much to them as seeing video content because they want to see who's coming to my house. What does it look like in someone else's house? What is the people saying from that company? And that's more impactful because you can't hide behind a video. Yep. You can hide behind Google review star ratings, right? And those reviews can be fake, but you can't really fake a bunch of video content of who y'all are as a business. And there'll be comments on there that if someone's had bad experiences with you, well, guess what? They'll blast that video and say, this company sucks. Don't trust them, whatever. That is more convincing to this younger generation. And I think it's just a matter of time before it catches on to the older generation as well. I mean, I know I got like my parents hooked on TikTok and it's just because they were like, I'll never get on TikTok. And I'm like, but you don't understand. Like once you get to see the videos of things that you're interested in, and that's the only thing you get to see. And it's just, you can flip through them. It's way more exciting than going through Facebook and like having to, you know, look at what everybody ate for dinner last night.
It's true.
All right. So let's talk about profits. Let's talk about kind of where your business has gone from 19 to current date on paying attention to things like the KPIs of the business that actually make you profitable, and not just from net profit and gross margins, but also on like efficiency and things like that. So what have y'all been working on in these 5 or 6 years? And what are some of the top KPIs that y'all focus on today?
So, you know, we're a Nexstar company. So a lot of our net metrics are based on, you know, Nexstar numbers. So one great thing about Nexstar is we get, you know, live information on what those contractors are doing. So there's, you know, over 1,000 contractors at Nexstar, and we send our financial survey every year to Nexstar. And they send us, based on what all those businesses are doing on average, kind of where we're at, in that realm. So what's nice about it is we can see how well our conversion rate looks based on similar businesses to ours. So we're not just comparing ourselves to maybe a business that's been around for 40 years, in a different market that isn't, really the case. So it's nice. It takes it all and it averages it out. So it lets us know kind of how we're doing on certain KPIs. Because how would it feel if we're giving our employees these, huge goals that they never think are believable to win, and then everyone's going to feel like we're losing all the time, and it might feel unrealistic to employees if they don't understand the why of the numbers and that they're doable and achievable. And so we bring Nexstar into the business with the employees so that they can say, hey, these are averages. These aren't super high numbers that we're showing you. And this is why we need to hit these numbers. This is what it does for the business. So we do a lot of training. We do a one truck exercise where we have them take a giant Post-it note and they draw a truck, and they write out how much they think it costs to just one truck company. It's really interesting. We have technicians do it, and people come up with different amounts. Like one person's 50 grand, one's $1 million. And then we show them how much it costs at our business to run truck. And it's really eye opening. They're all like, wow, we had no idea it costs that much. And they're like, there's got to be a better way to make it cheaper. And we're like, that's fine. Show us on that list of what you just made, what we should cut. So I believe it's important that the employees understand the metrics that you have first before I went into the KPIs. But, some KPIs that, we look into are obviously conversion rate on service, TGL, so turnover opportunities for us in Florida. We consider for HVAC a 8-year-old or older system to be a turnover opportunity because we live by the beach and stuff just runs out. So, turning over calls. So our percentage of turnover opportunities that we turn over to sales reps, project.
What is that conversion number that y'all look for?
So typically we try to first, so what we start with first is we follow a 3-day call board. So all of our calls that are on the board, we want at least 33% of those calls to be turnover opportunities. So, if we've got, 10 calls on the board, we want, at least 4 of those calls to be 8-year or older systems.
Well, no, the metric before that, just the conversion from service to replacement. What is that percentage y'all try to?
So are you saying if of those turnover opportunities, how many of those are we trying? Yeah. So our metric at our company is we should be turning over 50% of the turnover opportunities that we run. Nexstar's average is closer to like 60-65%.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think 60 is kind of
60 to 65. But we base it on like where we're at now. And we want to make it realistic, and then we'll move that goal up. But we're not going to be like, oh, Nexstar says 65 and we're at 30. Let's just throw 65 on the board, because then it becomes depressing to them that they're so far away.
Right. I mean, you can't control the leads that are coming in, right? And if the systems are, a large percentage of the month were 6-year-old systems, and it just so happened that, there was a certain parts or multiple parts that started breaking at the 6-year mark, like, well, then your opportunity for that number at 50-60% is going to go drastically down.
Yeah. And I mean, billable hour efficiency is kind of what we focus on versus just straight efficiency. And that's based on, because different companies pay their techs differently. So some companies pay their techs for drive time. We pay our techs for drive time. So a lot of guys are only calculating efficiency of the tech on the call. So let's say they arrive on Service Titan, and then when they finish that call, and they'll base it on how long did that call take versus how much you sold it for. We're looking at billable hour based on like the technician's working hours. So if they drove an hour to that call and they drove an hour back to the next call, and that time is paid to them. So it's billable time that they need to make up with their sales. So Nexstar has us focusing on billable efficiency hours, which is, I think, a little bit more accurate based on how much you're selling based on how much they're being paid. Because, and again, if you're performance pay and your technicians are full performance pay, you don't need to really worry about that as much. You can focus just on efficiency, because they're only getting paid for the stuff they're completing. Right. But for the companies that are doing like we are, where we're hourly plus commission, and they're getting paid drive time, I think billable, efficiency is a more realistic number to look at.
All right. What are the goals? So plumbing started what year? Last year?
Yeah. Plumbing, we started late last year, December. So our goal for plumbing this year was $1 million. And our goal for HVAC was 7 million for this year, our budgeted goal. We budget for 20% net profit. Our gross that we budget is 50% gross. And we also are in a couple Home Depot. So, we budgeted for 20% of our revenue to come from Home Depot stores because we don't want them to kind of own all of our market. So, which is nice because we can create our own leads from Home Depot for nothing. So it creates some stability.
So what are the goals for 2025? Now you're just shy of a year under your belt on plumbing. Are we going to hit the $1 million goal in plumbing?
So plumbing, we're on track to hit like 1.9.
Oh, wow.
So we definitely exceeded that goal.
And what does the plumbing department look like?
So the plumbing department right now, we have 3 plumbers. 2 of them are selling plumbers that also do the work. And then we have 1 installing plumber that solely installs.
Okay.
So we just added that 3rd one on. So we did $1 million with 1 selling plumber and then 1 installing plumber that came on probably in the next 2 months. So that was with 1 plumber. We did about $1 million. And we just literally added on that 2nd selling plumber like a week ago. So we should be able to see we're doing 1.9. We're going to, obviously when we budget it, we're going to probably double that. With HVAC as well, where, again, we're looking to do 7 million on HVAC. We're hitting right on budget. HVAC was a little bit tougher with the market. I mean, we're hitting our budget, but we're not like crazy exceeding it.
Right.
But I mean, last year we were about 3.5 on HVAC. So we doubled HVAC from last year with 6% marketing budget. So I don't know if we're going to budget. We're not going to budget, doubling HVAC. We'll probably budget, 40% growth next year. And I know we're going to hit that, but that's the plan for 2025.
I love it. On the plumbing side, how much of that business is coming from your HVAC customer base?
Probably 50%.
Okay. So did y'all include that in your club membership or whatever you called your VIP? And so what are y'all doing? Is it like a water heater flush or something?
Yeah. So we redesigned that, our MVP plan. As soon as we added plumbing, we kind of redesigned them all. So our maintenance plan, we offer 1 plumbing tune-up, which includes a water heater flush as well. So we go through the entire home, check the water shutoff valve, check all the drains. We make sure the water pressure is good, check the water heater, obviously for leaks, make sure the water heater is the right size. We flush the water heater. It's included in that. And then obviously giving you recommendations. We also do a free water quality test while we're there just to make sure the water quality in Florida is pretty terrible. So we do that as well during the inspection. So, and they also get free service calls for plumbing. So they get free service calls for plumbing or HVAC on that plan. They get 2 tune-ups for HVAC, 1 for plumbing, free service calls. They get up to 2 pounds of free refrigerant, priority service. So they get pushed to the front of the line.
And how much is it?
Our plan's $19 a month.
Okay.
So it's pretty popular. I don't think there's a plan that has as much that we have. They get 10% off repairs or accessories, and they get 5% off major equipment change outs like water heaters and HVAC systems and things like that.
I love it. All right. Well, we're to the time of the show where I'm going to do some rapid fire questions with Derek and just shoot from the hip and give me the first things that come to mind. All right.
Yeah.
Childhood hero.
I'm going to say it's a mix between Arnold and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Man, those were 2 of mine, like Commando and, the ones where he fought in the Kumite.
Yep, exactly. No, I would say similar.
Yeah. All right. Beach or mountains? I mean, you live in Florida, so.
I got to say the beach. I'm a surfer.
Okay. What famous person, if you could invite them to dinner, would you invite? They could be dead or alive.
Man, dead or alive, famous person I would invite to dinner. I'm going to go with Arnold still.
Okay. Something surprising that people don't know about you.
I tell people pretty much all my personal stuff, but let's see, something surprising that people don't know about me. This is supposed to be rapid fire. I'm just gonna say. I mean, everyone knows I was a cop, and most of the time people meet me. I'm such a chill guy. They never get that vibe, but that's.
Yeah, I mean, people freak out when
Yeah, people do too. They're like, "What? You're a cop?"
and they
So
know me, kind of how I am. I am chill, but I'm also a little edgy, and walk some fine lines. And they're like, "You're a cop?" I'm like, it was a long time ago, right? I mean, it's just
we seem alike. I'm the same way. I'm pretty edgy too, so I probably wasn't the best decision to do that. But
all right, the last one. What is Derek's belief in aliens?
I would say I do believe that they exist. I'd say the universe is pretty huge, and I think it's unlimited. It's like infinite. So I think there's got to be a chance that there's life outside of here.
And it's like I'm like looking at a mirror person to me. Like if I'd win an HVAC, like this is who I'd be looking at. Like
that's right.
All right. Well, Derek, it was a pleasure having you here, and I think people will take a lot from what you've told them, from the recruiting to the branding stuff. I think there's a lot of juicy nuggets here that you dropped. So I appreciate you coming and sharing your story. I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope you hit every goal 2025 moving forward.
Appreciate you. Same as well.
Thanks, man.
Yep.